for a lot of people. What was your first time? Have you seen it yet?
Yes, I have. The first time I saw it was at a convention, believe it or not, and how fun is that?
Yeah.
So it was a party, and it is fun, and it also does touch a lot of people. So knowing that, why do you think initially it flopped?
Well, because it's sex, drugs, and rock and roll. You guys wouldn't know anything about that, would you? Yeah, I mean, that's sort of, it's just, and, you know, people, it was a party, and like you said, it was just always just a party. You know, you'd bring your friends, or you'd meet people there, and they would become your friends for life because you were outside. Maybe you were an outsider, maybe you didn't have a group, a clique that you belonged to, and this was like something unique in your life, and got you out of your shell in a way, and I think, and when it was done, oh boy, you're so far away. How are you? I'm not used to this. This is great. I can't even see you. I don't know whether it's a man or a woman. I mean, but that's sort of what Rocky Horror is about, I guess, in some ways. What was I saying? Oh, I was astonished by. Hello.
Hi.
What's your name?
Meg.
Meg?
Meg.
Meg. Nice to meet you, Meg.
Nice to meet you.
Why don't we talk for a second, Meg?
Wonderful.
Okay. If you come a little closer to the microphone.
Okay.
Oh, that's good. Thank you. And what's your story, Meg?
My story?
You have a story, I can tell. I can tell you have a story, an interesting story.
Well, I've actually been a huge fan of yours basically since I was a young teenager, and I also loved you on Spin City as well as Rocky Horror. So
thank you.
Basically, yeah, I'm one of those freaks that had no people. So you know, you guys are my people, and I love coming to these things. So basically, my story is just I'm an incurable, unemployable weirdo, and I'm just really glad to be here talking to you.
Well, thank you.
I do have a question though. How do you manage having such a larger-than-life personality and still remain to be approachable and personable without, you know, kind of just being an overpowering jerk?
I didn't hear the last part. I got the larger-than-life personality part. I'm not so sure I have a larger-than-life personality. I mean, I'm tall, and so I'm larger than most people's lives. Yeah, I think when I was doing Broadway stuff back in the 70s and 80s, I probably had a larger-than-life personality because that's what it took to be able to get up on stage, on Broadway stage, you know, and care that you wanted to entertain those people, you know, that whatever it was, 1,000 people a night or whatever. Because I was in the original company of Grease. I created the part of Danny Zuko that I was John Travolta before John Travolta. You know? And John was in the touring company with us after I did the Broadway show, and he was playing Duty, a character in it. And we became very close friends, had the same manager and everything. And what a charming, talented guy. But when I knew him back then, he was still a teenager. But you knew. You know, there's just people you know have that charisma, and he had that charisma, and then he stole all of my shit from the show to be in the movie, which was great. I have no regrets at all, yeah, larger than life. No, and then I think you just sort of settle back in and you don't need to be so noisy in the world, you know. You don't need to get that attention, you know, all the time, you know. And then you get married, which I am, and I've been married for 30 years. And then my wife will say, well, why do you need so much attention? I'll say, because you're the one that I lean on now, you know, to get me through the day in a way, you know. But, yeah.
How did you meet your wife?
How did I meet my wife?
May I ask?
Oh, sure, at a strip club. Wife at a strip club? What do I look like? She was, I met her at a function. Do you know the Hawaiian Tropic? Things, Hawaiian Tropic? There was contests and things, and she was sort of dating the guy who owned Hawaiian Tropic. And I went to a function, and Hawaiian Tropic function in Hollywood. And she came, and I saw her from across the room, and she came up and asked me to dance, and I thought, but she's with the billionaire, you know. I was just this actor guy, and from that moment on, we just never left each other's side, and yeah. But she did say to me later, she said, you know, if I had known that you were a professional dancer, I never would have come out. She didn't know who the hell I was, you know, which is wonderful. And so, yeah, it's great.
You swiped her from a billionaire.
I swiped her from a billionaire. Well, her mother is not so happy about that. I got to tell you, when her mother was alive, it was always like, you made the wrong choice. You know? And but I think she made the right choice. Yeah, thank you. Question.
All right, so this is my question. If you were an amphibian, what kind of amphibian would you be?
Did you say amphibian?
Yes, sir.
Amphibian. Well, first of all, what's an amphibian?
It's like a salamander, you know?
Oh, I see. It's something that's closer to the ground and crawling on the ground. Yeah. I'd probably be an alligator. Is that an amphibian?
Not exactly, but no. You know what? That's cool.
What the hell? Are you a science teacher?
No, sir.
You know? No. So that's not an amphibian. What is that then? Like an alligator?
It's a reptile, sir.
It's a reptile.
So I asked about amphibian.
Okay, all right. So basically, this question that you asked me, you've taught me something, right?
I'm here for you, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So an amphibian. Give me like 4 or 5 choices as an amphibian.
Okay, like a salamander, like a frog, yeah, toad. What are those axolotl things? Yeah. Whatever she just said. I don't know how to pronounce it.
I'd go with the frog because their legs are delicious. All right, thank you.
There you go.
Boy, I learned something there.
Yeah, we all did.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi. So,
What's your name?
my name is Abigail.
Abigail. Nice to meet you. I'm Barry.
Nice to meet you too. I'm trying to figure out how to word this question, but when you were on set and you had to do the bed scene with Tim, did you have to wear a cup?
I'm sorry, what is she saying? Why? Because you mean because he would like attack me or something? No.
Not necessarily, just because you're on a movie set and they want to make sure you're covered for the most part, at least out there. But you seem to be nearly fully nude in that scene, so.
Is she talking about how big my dick is? Really? No, we're in Kansas City. The Bible Belt or something?
No,
I ask everybody that question here.
Everybody gets asked that question?
They do, yeah, at the airport. They didn't ask you at the airport?
No, that wasn't part of the routine.
Did you have to wear anything specific down below for that scene?
Abigail, right?
Yes.
Please sit down. Abigail, no, that's a very good question. And I'm not going to answer it.
I like the anonymity of it.
But you're getting close to getting this. I must say.
It's not on purpose, I'm just genuinely curious.
It's between you and the frog right now.
I'd give it to the frog guy.
Yeah.
Girl. You know what?
Okay, Abigail, thank you. Did I answer you? I didn't answer your question. I don't want to answer your question.
I'll also take that as a good answer.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. See, this is what happens. You're in a movie like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and they just want to talk about your private parts. I mean, nobody asked me when I was playing George Washington. You know. No, well. Okay. Oh, well, hello.
Hello. Have you ever gone to any of the midnight showings or the fan events?
Have I been to the midnight showings? And
And fan events.
oh yeah, fan events. Yeah. Well, is this considered a fan event? Well, this is for fan like it. Yes.
Like a fan showing of the movie.
I went when I first saw this thing at a midnight show with a shadow cast, because you know what's kept this thing alive all these years are these shadow casts around the world, who are so devoted to this movie and its message and its fun. And years ago, it was at the Tiffany Theatre in Hollywood, and there was one of the first shadow casts that sort of hit the West Coast from the leader of the cast, the director of the cast, invited me up to see it, and that's I think probably the first time I'd seen it. And he presented me with a gold record because we had just gone gold for Rocky Horror Picture Show. And and I had sort of a feeling that they were going to do something, so I found something that I gave them as a gift. I framed my underwear and signed it to the cast. And since then, somebody reminded me like 20 years ago, you remember when you gave your underwear to the Tiffany cast? And I said, oh yeah, I remember that was, he said, well that underwear is passed down through two generations of Rocky Horror people. And I thought, well that's funny, I like that all. So now at these conventions, I'll sell my underwear. So if you want to buy signed underwear from Brad Majors or asshole himself, you come to my table. I have numerous pairs.
No, it's just on standby so it doesn't turn off.
Target has been very happy to sell me over the years. Yes, and so I was astonished by what I was seeing, and was more astonished by the devotion and the love that this shadow cast had for this piece, and it continues to this day. Last October I did a tour, like a Halloween tour, where I went to 25 different cities right in a row with different shadow casts from the different cities. And it doesn't make a difference whether it was a Wednesday night or a Saturday night, we still would pull in 800,000 people a night to have fun with the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And we're going to do the same this year. I don't know where we're going yet, but if you keep your ears and eyes open, you can see that we're going to be doing an evening sometime in October. And maybe we'll come to Kansas City. Wouldn't that be great?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Barry.
Hello.
Hi, I'm David. I've been a big fan. I spent a lot of time, or a little bit of time, seeing Rocky Horror at the UC Theater in Berkeley.
Oh yeah, they were great.
Yeah.
And they're still there, right?
Indecent Exposure, they were the longest running cast at the time, and that was back in '97. And I also actually worked an episode of Spin City once as an extra. But I was wondering, with all the years you've worked and the things you've done, what has been your favorite role?
That is what the audience is at the moment that I'm talking to. Sometimes if it's a bunch of guys who were 12 years old in the early 80s. It's Megaforce. And we're making a documentary about the making of Megaforce that'll be out by the end of the year. And it's called Making Megaforce, which is, interestingly enough, that's the title. But it's a really charming documentary about an interesting sort of thing that happened back then with that kind of movie that became sort of cultish, and it was a Hal Needham movie with a lot of vehicles and stuff like that, and it was a great action movie with a terrible script, but it holds up as a sort of tongue-in-cheek kind of G.I. Joe first attempt at that kind of movie. So we're making this documentary, and it's really about this guy, Bob, who sought me out 4 or 5 years ago because I became like one of his heroes, because he grew up not having a lot of heroes, particularly in that era, because when we made it, there weren't a lot of hero movies. It was all sort of dark humor and this and that, and he was attracted to the simplicity and the good guy, bad guy aspect of the movie. And yeah, you don't have to stand in the light. I know it's just. What was your question? Oh yeah. What do I have? Yeah. Is that what I'm talking about?
Your favorite role.
What's that? Yeah, my favorite role. Yeah.
That you that you really enjoyed playing, that you were.
Well, you know, again, I think I said in the beginning, it has to do with what I think the audience knows me from, you know. I don't think this audience knows me from Metal Beast, you know. See, thank you, sit down again, you know, really. It's okay. You know, you do certain things as an actor because Christmas is coming up and you need money, you know, for toys for the kids, you know. I would say probably it would have to be Danny Zuko in Grease. Just because it was my first Tony nomination, and it created such a wonderful family atmosphere amongst the cast. We were all about the same age. We were all about starting out at the same time. And we just had our 50th anniversary 2 years ago. Yes, last year, I guess. There's a book out now called The Making of Grease, which is fascinating. If you're interested in how musicals are put together, this book, Grease, The Making of Grease, is a great book. Adrienne Barbeau, who was here this weekend, right?
Yeah.
Adrienne was in Grease with me. I wish we could do a panel together. We've never really talked about the whole Grease phenomenon, because again, it was very similar to the Rocky Horror thing. It was a slow-growing musical. Wasn't a huge hit when we first opened, and then it moved to Broadway. We're sort of off Broadway, or Broadway but off the street, and then it just grew and grew and grew because the audiences loved it, and we're